Want to know what's selling best in Japan this week? We're going to take a look at that coming right up. Hello everybody, Justus R. Stone here, and on this channel I focus on light novels, news, reviews, and countdowns on a weekly basis like the one you're just about to watch. So if you love light novels and you are brand new here, you should subscribe. Now, I'm taking a look at the top 10 best-selling light novels in Japan for the week of June the 25th to July 1st of 2018. 6 new titles on the list this week. Only 4 managed to survive from last week. They're not all that shocking given who the titles are. So let's get right into the list. At number 10, with 5,409 copies sold, Volume 29 of Rokujouma no Shinryakusha, or also known as Invaders of the Rokujouma. This one is released in English by J Novel Club. They've released up to volume 14 at this point. You can read later volumes if you're a subscriber on their website and have managed to get caught up to that point with fan translations. Neat story, they actually hired the guy who was doing the fan translations to keep translating the series, so pretty neat there. This one also had an anime that was 12 episodes long and covered the first 6 volumes of the series and apparently borrowed some elements from volume number 7 as well. You can stream that one on Crunchyroll. Just starting high school, Kotaro is moving out on his own to take some of the burden off of his widower father. Lucky for him, he's found a room at Corona House. It has a great landlord, it's not too far from school, and best of all, it's dirt cheap. But it really is perfect, except for the strange girls that keep appearing to try and take it over. But even as room 106 turns into a battlefield, Kotaro isn't willing to give up his apartment without a good fight. The invasion begins. Hilarity ensues. This one's a big old comedy harem series that just goes all sorts of places. Like, I don't really want to spoil it, but if you're looking for a long and ongoing series that's filled with harem elements, but also a lot of like action comedy and even apparently some fairly good drama here and there, then this is probably a great series to pick up. And like I said, J Novel Club is releasing this at 1 a month, so you don't even have to wait very long to pick up a copy of it. At number 9, with 6,767 copies sold, Kishibe Rohan wa sakebanai. This one is from the JoJo's Bizarre Adventure series. It's a spin-off. Rohan Kishibe Does Not Shout. This is the 4th volume. It's their short story anthologies focusing on the character of Rohan Kishibe. Again, I don't know very much about JoJo's Bizarre Adventure. I know there was just a whole bunch of announcements and stuff about it at Anime Expo. So if you're a JoJo fan, well, apparently there's lots more for you to enjoy coming very soon. We do have the manga of JoJo's Bizarre Adventure. That one is being released by Viz. But as far as I know, we don't have any of the light novels that have kind of spun off from that series in English. At number 8, with 7,662 copies sold, Nijuurasen gaiden, Nesshisen. Nesshisen, now, this is kind of funny. Okay, so Zephyris has been putting together this list for me for the past couple weeks because the way that I used to get it was from my anime list, and, well, they're still haven't gotten their house in order over there. So Zephyris has been really helping me out, and every now and then sending me little notes about what certain things are about if they are sort of a more obscure series. Now this one, Zephyris says, Nesshisen is a side story for the Nijuurasen series, which is a yaoi series with, apparently, quote, a lot of sex between two hot brothers. That's all you need to know. There's like plot. Who cares about that? I Actually, I lay odds that nobody bought this book for that. I tried to look up a little bit about the series that this is a spin-off of, and the one review I found really did just kind of focus a whole lot on how there's very long and explicit sex scenes in it that are yaoi. So there you go. There you go. It's not available in English. At number 7, with 7,819 copies sold, volume number 10 of Isekai Maou to Shoukan Shoujo no dorei majutsu, released in English as How Not to Summon a Demon Lord. This is licensed for English release by J Novel Club. They are going to be releasing the 4th volume in a couple of weeks, I believe July 23rd. So they're moving along with this series. An anime which is based on this series has just premiered its first episode on Crunchyroll in the past couple of days. I hear it's very bouncy. Okay, so this one's an isekai series about a boy who plays an RPG, and he's very antisocial because, well, you know, he does nothing to interact with people other than through this avatar in the RPG that is called Diablo, which is his character, and he's a demon lord. Well, Diablo finds himself summoned to this other world, and this kid is summoned to another world, but summoned as Diablo. And he's summoned by this elf girl and this cat girl, who I think they call them Pantherians in the series, but she's a cat girl. Let's just go with it. Anyway, they summoned him, and they try to enslave him so that he'll obey them, but his magical abilities, such as resist magic, which reverses effects towards the caster, kicks in and makes the girls his slaves. Hilarity ensues. Ichi ensues. This series, like, I've read the first one so far. I mean, it's not bad. It's not a bad isekai. The whole shtick of it is that because this guy has basically 0 people skills, he decides to basically, like, role play as his character Diablo in order to sort of crash his way through the world. So he kind of sometimes gets himself in hot water, and other times just kind of inadvertently manages to get himself out of things just because he's not really thinking it through much more than, oh geez, how would I as Diablo do this? So, so it's kind of a comedy series. There is plenty of ecchi in it. I haven't read, like I said, beyond volume 1 at this point, but I've seen some of the images from later volumes, and whoo boy, I expect there to be lots of fuzzy white bars and stuff and things in the anime. Yeah. At number 6, with 7,883 copies sold, volume number 13 of Hai to Gensou no Grimgar, or as we have it in English, Grimgar of Fantasy and Ash. This one, of course, on the list last week, is released in English by J Novel Club. They're currently releasing the ebooks, and this is one of the titles that 7 Seas has a deal. So 7 Seas is releasing the books in physical format. The physical format release is J Novel Club's translation. So that's what they're doing. There is a 12-episode anime which you can stream on Crunchyroll, which covered volumes 1 to 2 of the light novel series. And as I have mentioned previously, this is another isekai series, but this one is about a group of people that wake up and have no memory of their past lives. They can only remember their names, and they're kind of like forced, well, like they're not given a lot of alternative choices, so pretty much they're forced into becoming members of sort of this conscripted army that fights demons and monsters to protect humanity. And yeah, it's kind of an interesting series that it actually starts with the fact that the characters know nothing, so it's a lot messier. The battles are more hectic and violent and messy than you see in a lot of isekais. The characters don't necessarily just start off with, oh, look at me, I'm super OP and can do whatever I want, and I just flick my finger and I've won. And no, it's not like that at all. There's death, there's Yeah, it's much more of a drama type series than just a pure action or even a comedy type isekai series. Speaking of comedy isekai series, at number 5 with 9,360 copies sold, it is volume number, I believe this one is what? Volume number 3? Kono Subarashii Sakai ni Shukufuku o Extra Ano Orokamono ni mo kyakkou o. Wow. Or Konosuba, God's blessing on this wonderful world extra. That fool is also in the spotlight. The supporting role can be wonderful. So these are spin-off novels of Konosuba, but this one, it actually focuses on the character Dust instead of the character of Kazuma, who of course is the main character of the rest of the Konosuba main series. So yeah, I mean, this one is taking a look at this character. He is looking at his like interactions with other Konosuba characters and the Konosuba world. Like, it doesn't necessarily, it's not just him like hanging out all the time, just sort of near Kazuma or anything. It's sort of his own thing. So that is at number 5. We don't have this series licensed at this point. In fact, we don't have any of the spin-off series of Konosuba licensed at this point. I would not be surprised if we get them. At the very least, get the one that features Megumi. But, well, we'll just have to wait and see. At number 4 with 10,053 copies sold, another title that was on the list last week, and that is Mirai no Mirai, aka Mirai of the Future. This one is the novel adaptation of the film Mirai to the Future of the Future. The movie's coming out July 20th, 2018. We talked about this a bit last week. It's by the same director as The Girl Who Leapt Through Time, Summer Wars, Wolf Children, and The Boy and the Beast. About a young boy who is pretty spoiled and kind of a brat and actually ends up meeting a future version of his sister who's come back in time to go on adventures with him. At number 3 with 10,188 copies sold, it's the latest volume of the Monogatari series, Yaoi Monogatari. This one, of course, on the list for the past couple of weeks, the latest installment of the Monogatari series by Nishio Ishin. We do have this series being licensed and released in English. Most recently, they've released Hana Monogatari, that came out June 26th. And there is a rather lengthy anime series based on this series that you can stream on Crunchyroll. And this one, of course, a series that focuses very much on like sort of a small town and these group of characters that have all come into contact with what they call aberrations, or, you know, sort of supernatural beings and stuff, and how they cope with it. And it's very much comedy and wordplay, and you really kind of have to watch it for the characters because, or, well, especially read it when you're reading the books, because a lot of the book is dedicated very much just to character interactions and conversations that may or may not have anything to do with the rest of the book that you're reading. It is pretty entertaining. I've actually been really enjoying the later volumes, like the last 2 or 3 volumes I've really enjoyed of Monogatari, even more so than when I first started. And, you know, the earlier series, like the first series that came out was Bouken Monogatari. You can really tell that sort of Nishio Ishin, as he's writing this series, becoming very, very comfortable with it, and it's just kind of like his playground to do whatever he wants, which at times can be awesome and at other times can be maybe a little disturbing. At number 2 with 11,163 copies sold, this is volume number 3 of ReZero Kara Hajimaru Isekai Saikatsu EX. So this is the spin-off series of the ReZero novels. This one we do have licensed in English by Yen On. They've released volumes 1 and 2 already. Now volume 3 is actually a continuation of volume number 2, which focuses on Wilhelm Trias. So these series, they're focusing more on like the backstories of the characters in the ReZero universe. The first one in this series focused on Duchess Krush and her knight Ferris. Now, like I said, the second one begins the story of Wilhelm and apparently is continuing on into this third volume. We do have volumes 1 and 2 in English, like I said, so I imagine we will definitely get this one, but we seem to always be at least about 6 months behind Japan when we're talking like print releases. Although, well, we usually need 6 months to market, so I'm going to say it'll be about 8 months before we get this one in English. I had plans to read volume 2, but now I'm kind of thinking I might just hold off because, well, you know, instead of waiting for volume 3 for a long time. Meh, I don't know. Let me know in the comments down below. Is volume 2 worth reading knowing that there's a volume 3 that continues the story? Like, is there enough of story told where you're kind of like, okay, I get it? Or let me know in the comments down below. Finally, at number 1, with 24,746 copies sold, volume number 14 of Kono Subarashii Sakai ni Shikufuku, or Konosuba, God's Blessing on This Wonderful World. This one, the main series of Konosuba, obviously. This one is licensed in English by Yen On. The manga is licensed in English by Yen Press, and you can watch the anime on Crunchyroll. There's 20 episodes, which covered volumes 1 to 4 of the light novels. Volume 6 of the light novels is going to be coming out, I believe, in August, I think it is. I know volume 5 is already out because I have it on my shelf and I want to read it, but I haven't gotten there yet. So volume 6 should be coming out of that series. Of course, this one, another isekai series, focusing on main character Kazuma, who, when he dies, is given the opportunity to bring one thing with him into the new world, and he decides to bring the goddess who is telling him about his reincarnation. Problem is, she turns out to be a big old pain in the butt and pretty much useless. Konosuba, if you're not aware, is a very, very funny series that kind of turns the whole isekai thing on its head. It's very self-aware of all the tropes and everything and plays them all to the nth degree. And it's just filled with all sorts of really entertaining characters because they are all just like flawed and damaged in one way or another. It's a ton of fun. It's a great little series to read. I guess actually I could watch the anime now because I've read the first 4 volumes, so I'm at least caught up to where the anime covered. I should make that a thing. In this video, I want to give some special thanks out to Leonardo Bastos, Shotaku, MCF, and Kyle Block, and all the rest of my patrons over on Patreon for continuing to support this channel and continuing to support other projects such as the Light Novel Podcast. We've done 5 episodes of that. We're actually going to be recording the 6th episode, which we're calling 5.2. Yeah, just watch them and you'll figure it out. But anyway, we're recording that in the next, I guess if you're watching this video, probably Sunday is when I'll post it. So we're recording it tonight. It'll be out in the next day or two. We're taking a look at what Yen On and also what, Vertical didn't have a lot to say, but we'll look at one of the things that Vertical talked about. So we'll look at Vertical, we'll look at Yen On, and we'll also be looking at 7 Seas and taking a look at what things they have announced in terms of light novels. The last episode of the Light Novel Podcast, we just went over the whack ton of announcements that J Novel Club made on Friday. Ton of good stuff, very exciting. It's really exciting to be a fan of light novels, you know, like if you're really into it and you kind of follow it, and you sort of follow what's happening with the companies and stuff that are getting involved, you can feel that this is expanding and growing and changing. It's cool. It's cool to have gotten here sort of feeling like, in terms of this wave of light novels, I kind of feel like you got in on the ground floor. So it's neat to watch all of this happen. So those are your best-selling light novels in Japan for the week of June 25th to July 1st of 2018. It's been pretty good, actually, the last couple of weeks. We've sort of had about a little more than half of the list turned over every week. So I always like to see sort of new stuff coming out. It'll be interesting to see what happens next week. Actually, taking a look ahead, it looks like there's some big titles coming out in July. So we should have a bunch of shifting of the list over the next couple of weeks. Should be fun to take a look and see what is selling well in Japan. So again, if you're brand new to the channel and you love light novels, you should subscribe. I do this countdown every single week, as well as usually doing 2 to 3 reviews of light novels on a weekly basis as well. Things have been really busy lately. I've not been doing very good on that. But and also the light novel podcast gets posted on this channel as well. Thank you so much for watching this video, and I look forward to seeing you in the next one. Till then, bye-bye for now.